Hello, everyone, and welcome to an emergency episode of the Own the Moment podcast. This is episode 30 of the podcast, and I'll tell you what, we are flying by the seat of our pants here. We've got some big news that we believe we have discovered here at Own the Moment, a bit of a rapid reaction pod, if you will, here at Own the Moment. Justin, I was out to dinner. I was doing my thing. I thought that it was a bit of a night off here at Own the Moment, but what's going on, my friend? How are we doing?
There's no nights off in Top Shot. There's no
There
sleep at
really
the
are
wicket.
not. You think you can go out, have a little dinner, maybe have a drink, but you just can't afford to because things are always happening in the Top Shot world, and whew, it seems like it could be a big one here, and we got a little bit of a hint of it at office hours earlier today. And here we are. So where do we want to begin?
I'm excited. So let's start off with office hours. Our friend who writes up the office hours, Jacob Bake, he typed it up, and one of his bullets was around that Dapper Labs is going to start putting, the devs are going to put a little Easter eggs. And for those who don't know what they mean by Easter eggs, it kind of comes from the gaming culture, but where people creating the actual game, you see it in movies sometimes, will add a little trick, a little fun thing, a little something for people to find if they know where to look if you dig a little deeper. And so for a video game, it might be like a little, back in the Nintendo days, you go to an underground area. For Halo, you end up like finding a secret door or something. And so for here, we didn't really know what to do, and we weren't really trying to look for it, but we have some fantastic people in the OTM community, and that's where the story really starts.
Yes, and so let me go ahead for those of us that are going to be watching this back. Let's share the breaking news tweet here. So what we believe we have discovered is a potential finals showcase tournament. So essentially we had, as Justin said, someone in the Discord reached out. We went to a site on the Top Shot page, a hidden page that said coming soon, or what exactly did it say, Justin?
Let me give a little more information, because there's a funny story behind this. So in the OTM Discord and Mission Control Center, there's a user, his name is Moment Nerd. And we've chatted once before, or chatted a couple times, but once in DMs. And the last time he reached out to me is when he thought he found Dingling. And he had this elaborate theory. He aligned it to a tweet that someone put out saying they only had 2 moments of a certain kind. And then he did some searching and he aligned it to this one user. And then I found out that user actually used to be like someone who's made multi-million dollars in DFS. So I'm like, oh shit, and I reach out to that user. Turns out it wasn't that user. This is before we found the real Dingling. But it was a funny little scavenger hunt and stuff. And the last message he sent me was the image of From Always Sunny with just the craziness, everything up on the wall, and just talking about conspiracy theories. And it was just funny because that's where we left the previous conversation. He had a theory, it didn't work out. I think his message even said, he's like, it's so funny, I'm not a conspiracy theorist type at all, but with Top Shot, I'm like a real life version of that Always Sunny meme. So that's how we left it. And I get a message from him, doing some grocery shopping. He goes, hey, Justin, you around? I think I found a pretty big Easter egg on the site, and I wanted to, give you guys at OTM a little heads up if you're interested. And so I didn't even put the 2 and 2 together from before and our conversation. I was just like, okay. So he gave me a little more information. He gave me some details. Apparently what he was doing is, so obviously he heard about the Easter egg thing from early on. And so he starts taking a look at their API call. There's some flags there. There's a flag for tournaments. He then start playing with some of the code, some of their websites. He finds the actual website for the tournaments. And instead of it giving the normal 404, it gives the traditional 404. And 404 is usually just means default error for a non-existent web page. It gives the 404, but it also says this is an experimental feature. And that, I think, is what initially clued him off. So then he takes a look at the source code. You can just do okay, you here? Okay, cool. So give a control U. So if you do control U, that brings up the source code. The majority of us, this means whatever, nothing. but he's pretty familiar with this from the work that he does around in next.js. So do a control F for the word unique. Now, it's very hard for us to see, for people that can see, but this is part of the text right here that actually details what the rules of this tournament are. And so obviously when someone gives me information before we're going to put it out there, like we need to do our own kind of research to see. And you can actually see that it says, the rules around the finals tournament, how, who's actually getting points. And so TJ, if you go to, or I can actually read. So it says, create a showcase with 5 unique players who you predict will score the most fantasy points in the finals. Feel free to update your showcase daily. Just set your lineup by tip-off, and we'll update the standings daily. It then goes into what the fantasy points breakdown are, and they're calling it the Finals Showcase Tournament. So there's no information on whether or not there will be prizes. There's no information around more specifics, but we believe pretty strongly that this is one of the Easter eggs that the devs actually left us.
And so then this is what we were able to summarize in the tweet. So we took the verbiage that was existing in that source code and broke it down. But love it. Love so many things. So many things about this.
So huge shout out to Moment Nerd. Hey, you are 1 for 2. If that is baseball, you are in the Hall of Fame. You are swinging. You got a home run with that other foul tip. So we're good. We're fine. And so where we kind of took it from there is, so I talked to him for a little, and I wanted to, give, he and I kind of chatted, and I was giving him my thoughts on strategy because, hey, if he found this, he's got to be the first one to really take advantage of this. And then from there, it was, okay, well, we want to share it with the OTM community. So we started off in the Discord, and we kind of detailed out, like, hey, here's what we see. Here's what Moment Nerd found. And I gave kind of my thoughts on how I think we should be capitalizing on this. And that's where I'll kind of go into that now. If we're good, TJ, should I do that?
Let's do it.
Okay. So when we think about this from a final showcase tournament, what that means is that assuming that this is going to be adventurous, assuming there's going to be some kind of prizes aligned to it, which I think we can pretty confidently assume that, then there's going to be certain moments that are going to be in high demand. And specifically, obviously, it's players that are in the finals. And so what I take a look at is, that you can see the odds to actually make it to the finals. And so I guess I will, I'll share. I can just read these off right now. But the largest favorite, the best favorite to make it to the finals is the Brooklyn Nets at -110. So they're about even odds just to make it to the finals. After that, you have the Lakers at +185, Clippers at +225, Milwaukee Bucks +325, Sixers and Utah Jazz at +375, and then it starts jumping up. But from that, I say that, hey, there's a better than 50% chance, or around a 50% chance, the Brooklyn Nets are going to make it. So I think the play is Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving. Find their cheapest moments, because if the Nets make it to the finals, there's going to be increased demand to make sure that each person owns a moment of those key players, so then they can put that in their showcase challenge. So I then take a look at those, and I looked at the prices and stuff, and I think that Harden was only at $8, $9 when this started. He probably got up a little. He's got 235Ks. The one that I'm most bullish about actually is the Kyrie Irving, because the Kyrie only has 2 Series 2 moments. He's got the Seeing Stars at a 10K, and he's got, I don't know if you can pull this up on OTM or whatever.
Yeah, wait. This is already taken. Look at this. Wow. Huh. Look at our top movers. James Harden's number 1. Kyrie Irving's number 3.
We gave this to the OTM community, and I'm sure they capitalized on it. And I think the one, so Kyrie, the big one for me is that he only has 2. Kyrie only has 2 Series 2 moments, and one's the Seeing Stars, one's the /35K. And if you look at the /35K, there's still 11% minted that aren't distributed. So I don't expect that they're going to be minting a new /35K anytime soon. Yes, there's a chance that, they end up putting through that circulation, and before the playoffs happen, before the finals, like, he does get another moment, but I'd say it's a little unlikely. And so if we get the Nets in the finals, and you can pick who it is in the in the other conference, and Kyrie's probably going to be one of your top 5 that you want to have in your lineup, because Harden, KD, definitely there. Kyrie's the problem, and then you got two guys from the other side. I mean, if it's the Lakers, it's LeBron and AD. If it's the Suns, you get Booker and Chris Paul. And like, so there's other, like Kyrie is going to make it into that top five. And this almost turns into kind of the challenge aspect where like these players get utility value, because the utility value of making sure you have Kyrie as one of your top five is huge. And so I think that's the moment that probably is the best opportunity right now to make sure as collectors, we want to make sure you get that Kyrie if you don't have Kyrie in your portfolio already, because I think that moment's going to zoop upwards in value as this comes more to fruition. And hey, end of the day, Nets may lose in the second round or something, and they don't make it. We don't know. Maybe there's an injury. Maybe they put them out with a new moment. Obviously, anything can happen, but like, if I'm trying to project what I think it is and where I think there's an opportunity now, that is how I have personally been acting. So while I was trying to go through all this, I've still been able to not pull in an Al Horford or a Dwight Howard here, but still trying to stack up a few of these kind of Hardens and Kyries.
You don't think that Al Horford's going to be in the top five of the NBA Finals showcase lineup? Maybe.
I mean, there's I'm trying to think. Like,
you're like, I can't even come up with it.
No,
I can't even come up with the scenario.
But like Dwight Howard?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Dwight.
There you go.
Dwight Howard and Embiid will all be happy.
If the Sixers made it, I mean, obviously. And that's where, like, so I think I'll call tier one is KD, Harden, and Kyrie. I think the next tier down is the superstars and the teams that are a little less likely, but like right at that level. So I think after that, you're looking at the LeBron, you're looking at AD, you're looking at Giannis, you're looking at Embiid, you're looking at Kawhi, Paul George. I don't know what Donovan Mitchell's situation is with the health-wise, but I assume that they make it to the finals that he'd be healthy and he'd be back and stuff. Chris Paul and Devin Booker are a little lower down, but they're at plus 700 odds. But like that's hey,
yeah, it definitely gets beyond the top 4 or 5 teams. It gets a little less likely, but it's also going to be. This is assuming that this is legit. It'll be a fun speculative thing throughout
as the
playoffs
go on.
Right? And
exactly.
I mean that's one of the things that excites me the most is just we've talked about the creativity from the Dapper team and thinking outside the box, and this would certainly be a very outside the box idea for them to have, and it's pretty awesome.
Exactly. And we've said, like, one of the things I really want to get back to is the ability to kind of prognosticate. Like, I want to find a player that I think is going to have success and be able to collect that player before they actually break out. And now we're kind of getting that opportunity by me being able to, hey, if you think that, I don't know, let's say you believe that the Nuggets are legit and they're going to make it to the finals. Like, those jokers are still going to be a value right now. The Michael Porter Juniors are going to be value right now. Like, there's still opportunities here for you to kind of make that bet, and add your collection. And then, hey, end of the day, we're still just adding moments and we're adding great players, because all the ones that we're buying right now for this are ones that are going to, for the most part, be very, very strong players.
Yeah, it's one of those spots, and we even talked about it on Monday's podcast of, it's a somewhat of a speculative move, and if you're wrong, the downside's not that much. What's the mega downside of buying a James Harden or a Kyrie Irving? Not that much. They're phenomenal players and people that I want in my collection regardless. But the upside of if this comes to fruition and if the Nets end up in the finals could be massive. So
I will say this. Part of the reason why we wanted to jump on this tonight is so that people who early tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, are listening to this, there's still an opportunity for them to get in and not feel like it's too late. Because as it stands now, it's about midnight on Tuesday night, there's minimal conversation outside of the OTM Discord around capitalizing on this from a player's projection standpoint. And so as I was saying, I think for the most part, these guys have maybe gone up like 9 to 11, 9 to 12, but there's still some strong walls at those kind of 12, 13, 14, 15. And so if you want to get in, if you want to just get your player so you can get your player at a discount in case they're in the finals, go for it. If you want to do it and you think there's a better opportunity to kind of, grab a little more of these and then you've got some leverage later on, go for it. But that's why we wanted to jump on as quick as possible, because we want the kind of OTM and the extended community, OTM community, and kind of all of our YouTube and Apple, Spotify, whatever, followers, listeners, whatever it is, to get ahead of this before kind of the rest of the industry really picks up on it.
Yeah, 100%. It's, man, there really is just never a quiet time in the Top Shot world. I love it.
It's fun. And I think more than anything, once again, we said this on the call, the show with Monday Night with Mike, like the innovation that we're seeing out of Dapper and continuing to innovate. And I hope they come in with some fun prizes. They're going to have a live leaderboard. And I mean, dare we say, like, we have daily fantasy sport professionals in the OTM Discord. We have Bach, who's qualified for 2 NBA finals. Like, there's going to be some game theory without a doubt when we get to the final. Because if it ends up being Lakers versus the Nets, how many teams, how many showcases are going to have LeBron, AD, KD, Harden, and Kyrie? 90%? Like, we know that there's game theory there. And instead, maybe you throw in that Rondo instead of Kyrie. Maybe you end up going like whatever that next tier down is, because this is just DFS 101, 201. We'll get more into this, but I'm excited. This is fun.
Yeah, that's a great point. It could expand very well beyond just trying to have the best, optimal 5 people in your showcase. It could be all the game theory elements of, where do you make the pivot? How do you differentiate yourself? Oof. It's going to be a fun 2.5 months here as we wind down the playoffs. I mean,
and like if night one you hit it right and then you just go chalk the rest of the games, like, and if you miss on night one, you double down and you hope that you catch up, and like, it's going to be good.
The DFS brain is already kicking in. And we got Bach, man. Bach knows
Bach's
NBA and DFS. Yeah.
He's going to crush this.
It's going to be awesome.
All right. Well, this is it. We didn't want to take too long.
Yeah.
We just wanted to get this information out. But and then we'll be back Wednesday night, probably talking a bit more about this. But I know by that time, the whole market's going to all be giving their takes, and everyone's going to be talking about it. So this was our little kind of Easter egg for all of you. So enjoy.
Yeah. So recording this right around midnight on Tuesday night. Going to be releasing this ASAP as soon as I hang up this call right now. And then Justin and I will be back later this evening, Wednesday night, 8:30, live as we always are. And I'm sure this will be on the agenda along with all the other awesome stuff going on in Top Shot. So thanks, Justin, for the emergency podcast here. And on behalf of Justin, on behalf of producer Coop, who was not with us tonight because we didn't even bother to wake him up. I mean, the man's got a family. He's got to sleep sometimes, or at least spend time with the kid. But
and on behalf of Moment Nerd and the rest of the OTM community, shout out.
Thanks to everyone. It's been a fun night, and I'm sure going to be a fun next 24 hours here as we figure this out together. So we will see you guys next time.